So despite in the end actually winning this game quite comfortably, United actually did struggle in the first half. And it derived from their pressing shape. Initially within the first 5 minutes, United were on the front foot. But after the first 5 minutes, as Leicester were able to stabilise themselves and retain possession, they were able to exploit what is becoming a common weakness in United's pressing system. But before I go any further, let me tell you about the sponsor of today's video, OneFootball, which has become my favourite football app because it has everything you need to keep up to date with the latest news and transfers, providing you with articles to read as well as videos to watch, whilst also being excellent for keeping up to date with all the matches from across the world that are going on, providing a live ticker as well as match ratings and statistics, whilst also allowing you to check your team stats from across the whole season. If you're sick of having to use Google and Twitter to search for news and stats that you want to see, then the OneFootball app is definitely the app for you, so I'll leave it linked in the description below, and by downloading the app you will be helping to support the channel. So in terms of the shapes that both sides were using, we saw Rodgers deploy a 2-4-3-1 shape, with Ten Hag going for that familiar 4-1-2-3 shape, with the two wide attackers, Garnacho from the left and Bruno Fernandes from the right in this game, either side of Marcus Rashford, retaining high and central positions, giving United a narrow front three, which enables them to press the two Leicester centre-backs and the goalkeeper. Fred and Weghorst behind would push up onto Mendy and Dewsbury Hall, with Sabitzer sitting on Maddison behind them. And this is obviously a very aggressive pressing system, with United looking to stop Leicester being able to progress the ball out of their defensive third. However, the issue with having Bruno Fernandes and particularly Garnacho on the left side, sitting high and looking to apply pressure to the centre-backs when they receive the ball, is that it vacates a lot of space on the flanks, and in this game we saw Leicester able to take advantage of this by having Danny Ward clip a ball over Garnacho into Castagna, Leicester's right back, and because Shaw was in a deeper position alongside Tete, Leicester's right winger, Castagna had the space to drive forward, and because he's such a powerful carrier of the ball, he was able to race forward before Garnacho could recover, which allowed Leicester to not only progress the ball into the middle third, but at times also push the ball into United's half and the final third. And so inevitably what happens here is one of Fred or Sabitzer on the left side has to come across to close down Castagna, leaving one of Dewsbury Hall or Maddison free, allowing Leicester to then work the ball back in field. And now not only have they progressed the ball out of their defensive third, but they are now able to retain possession in the middle third, forcing United to retreat into their 4-1-4-1 defensive shape. And when Leicester were able to work the ball past United's frontline press, it was Kelechi Iheanacho who played a crucial role in linking the Leicester attack. Here we see a perfect example of how Leicester were able to beat United's frontline press, with Danny Ward playing a lofted pass over Garnacho into Castagna on the right flank, who's then able to carry the ball forward. And from this position we can see that Kelechi Iheanacho is dropping off from the right side. And in the first half I felt Lisandro Martinez wasn't getting tight enough to Iheanacho to stop him receiving the ball, as here for example Castagna is able to play the pass into his feet, Iheanacho is able to get the ball under control, and from here Leicester are able to get runners off of his deeper movement, with Castagna here able to burst beyond Garnacho, and when Iheanacho finds him to link the play. Because of United's high back line, this leaves a space in behind Shaw for Tete to make the run down the right flank, and suddenly Leicester have gone from having the ball in their defensive third in front of United's pressing shape to in behind their back line in the final third within a matter of just a few passes. But it wasn't just in terms of beating United's high press where Leicester had success. We also saw Brendan Rodgers' side being able to effectively stop United progressing the ball up the pitch, and they did so with a relatively conservative but well coordinated trigger pressing system. During the build-up phase we would see Leicester the majority of the time allow United to work the ball out of their own box, but the Leicester pressing shape would still sit relatively high, with the goal of stopping United being able to progress the ball into the middle third. And they did so by having the front two of Maddison and Iheanacho sitting close together, cutting off the passing lanes into Sabitzer and Fred behind them in United's deep midfield area, whilst Leicester's deeper players would follow any of the United players if they look to drop deeper to receive the ball. You can see here that Castagna's followed Fernandes as he drops into a deeper area to prevent him being able to receive the ball off Lisandro Martinez, and so a lot of the time United were forced into long balls up the pitch, which often led to Leicester being able to regain possession. But when Sabitzer or Fred would look to drop wider, opening up a passing lane wide of Leicester's front two, it was up to Leicester's two central midfield players to initiate a trigger press. Here we see that as Dalot pushes up the flank, pulling Harvey Barnes backwards and creating a space wide of Lindelof, it's Sabitzer who moves out into this wide position from that central area, opening up a passing lane for Lindelof to move the ball into. But Leicester are prepared for this, and so as soon as Sabitzer receives the ball, Mendy is ready and waiting to move out of the midfield line, ready to apply pressure instantly, play, forcing Sabitzer back to De Gea, which is the trigger for Leicester to then assert an aggressive man-to-man press in United's defensive third. And you can see here as De Gea has a ball at his feet, all of his short passing options are being man-to-man pressed closely by Leicester, forcing De Gea into a long ball upfield, but because his long passing isn't exactly the strongest part of his game, Leicester were then able to challenge for aerial balls in the centre of the pitch, looking to win one of the loose second balls. But even when United were able to gain possession from one of these second balls, I felt like they were rushing to attack too quickly, and because they didn't have the passing ability of someone like Eriksen or even Bruno Fernandes in the centre of the pitch, a lot of their long balls trying to release Garnacho and Rashford didn't come off because they just didn't have the long passing ability in the centre of the pitch, and this just gave the ball back to Leicester, leading to a lot of United's attacks breaking down before they even really started. And I think this is where all problems stemmed from, the centre of the pitch for Ten Hag. As with Sabitzer, Fred and Weghorst playing as a midfield three, United just have no control in possession. Weghorst obviously isn't a central midfielder, so he just naturally isn't going to have the press resistance or the ability to play his way out of congested areas that United would need. Fred is often very erratic in possession, and we saw this within the first 10 minutes when he was able to pick up a loose ball from an aerial challenge which Lindelof went up for. But he just completely lacks composure under pressure and gave the ball away to Harvey Barnes, who can now drive at the Manchester United backline, bursting past Sabitzer. And now United have gone from winning a loose ball in the centre of the pitch to now having Harvey Barnes drive at their backline with Lindelof completely out of position. And Leicester were able to create a clear chance from this as the ball goes into Garnacho and he plays a 1-2, who's able to burst straight through the United defence, and but for David De Gea, Leicester would have gone in front. And this all stemmed from United's lack of ability to control possession when they win the ball in the centre of the pitch, and that is purely down to personnel. I think if Casemiro and Eriksen are playing in this game, United control possession and dominate the game, and Leicester would have nowhere near the amount of threatening opportunities that they had in the first half. And this can be represented by the fact that Leicester within the first 30 minutes of the game had a higher XG of 1.11, with United recording just 0.66. Now in the last 30 minutes of the first half, United did look a lot better, managing to get their XG up to 1.34 by half time, overtaking Leicester, who went into the break at 1.13. But still, going into half time with an XG against of 1.13 will definitely be something that Ten Hag will be concerned about, particularly at home to a mid-table side like Leicester. But right from the second half, United had a lot more success in playing through Leicester and progressing the ball up the pitch. We see here as United have the ball in the middle third, dropping into that back three, that Leicester are still looking to press them, with the front two of Maddison and Garnacho looking to engage Lisandro Martinez as he has possession. However, as was liable as the game went on, Leicester's pressing shape became less vertically compact, with their midfield line not being as quick to move to close down the United players. And we see here as the ball gets moved out to Lindelof, that Maddison and Garnacho are now not doing as good a job at cutting that passing lane into Sabitzer behind them, and so there is a clear passing lane that's opened up from Lindelof into Sabitzer, and you can see that Mendy is still pushing out from the Leicester midfield line, looking to apply the pressure to Sabitzer, but unlike in the first half, his timing isn't as well coordinated and he just doesn't get there in time, as Sabitzer plays a first time pass back into Lindelof, completing the 1-2. And suddenly from here, Leicester's whole midfield is completely opened up, with Lindelof now able to thread a pass into Bruno Fernandes between the lines. But what you can also see is that whilst United do have 3 players in centrally advanced positions, all looking to receive the ball in behind the Leicester midfield line, because of the pace that United have to run in behind the Leicester back line with Rashford and even Dalot now bursting down the right, the Leicester back line have learnt their lesson from the first half, and so rather than squeezing up looking to condense the space between the lines, they now drop off, which opens up even more space for Bruno Fernandes to receive the ball, and from here he threads the ball down the right flank for Diogo Dalot, who then gets in a crossing position and puts in a dangerous cross across the box, which ultimately is cleared by Leicester, leading to nothing for United. But this attacking move did show how much United improved from first half to second half, now being able to work the ball from in front of the Leicester front two to getting into the final third in a threatening position. But United also massively improved with the introduction of Jadon Sancho into central midfield. We can see here that when he picks up the ball midway inside United's half, rather than looking to rush a long ball and conceding possession, or looking to play a pass back over to the congested side of the field, as both Fred and Weghorst were guilty of in the first half, Sancho has a composure to turn out, and Dalot on his outside is making a bursting run forward, which is essential to this move, but Sancho does well to thread the ball through to him at the exact right point, allowing Dalot to the motor forward, carrying the ball into the final third. But this wasn't Jadon Sancho's only contribution. The goal stems from Youri Tielemans looking to play a vertical pass from a deep position into the feet of Kelechi Garnacho, and in the first half Garnacho had the better of Lisandro Martinez, with the Argentine not getting tight enough to the Nigerian and often allowing him to turn and link the play. However, in the second half, Martinez was a lot more aggressive, and this is a great example as he's able to win the ball, knocking it into the path of Sabitzer, who lays it off to Marcus Rashford. And from here, United are able to transition the attack quickly, exploiting the massive amount of space in the Leicester midfield. And because Sancho is starting from a central position, he's able to run off of the back of Mendy. And this is the exact type of attacking move and area where he would thrive for Borussia Dortmund, receiving the ball and being able to drive into space around the box, where his pass selection is excellent, playing the ball out to Bruno Fernandes, who gets his second assist of the game with a perfectly weighted ball back into Jadon Sancho, whose first time finish with the inside of his left foot rounds off a fantastic Manchester United goal. If you do want to see my analysis of the first two goals, both scored by Marcus Rashford, then I'll leave that video linked in the description below where I cover both goals in more detail. But overall, as I've been saying for the past few Manchester United games now, United's central midfield really is the key to Ten Hag's system. With Sabitzer, Fred and Weghorst playing as a midfield three, United just don't really have that creativity, composure, or the overall technical ability to really dominate games, and this is why we saw Leicester actually play better than United in the first half. I think the main reason why United were able to play a lot better in the second half, firstly obviously came because Leicester's pressing system became less coordinated, and so United were able to play around them a lot easier, but also because when they won the ball back in the centre of the pitch, they took a lot more risks with their passes, moving it quicker and therefore getting it into players like Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes higher up the pitch with more space to exploit. I also did think that Weghorst was a bit of a liability in central midfield, and so whilst he can be an asset there in games such as against Barcelona when United do need to go long in order to beat the press, I do think it's kind of pointless and a bit of a waste having him there in a game like this, as he doesn't have the technical ability or even the athleticism that United need. But once again, most of the credit has to come down to Marcus Rashford's individual brilliance, but I also thought Bruno Fernandes was fantastic in this game, and those two are the key for United if they are to sustain a title race going into the last 3 months of the season.